Hello, everyone. Welcome. Just getting geared up. Hello, Patrick. Good to see you. Hello, everyone. Just getting geared up and ready to go. Bear with me. Let's do this, guys. Hello, everyone. Refrain from it all. One day, the Lockheed Martin on my laptop. To nuclear bombs explode. Learning all about the fallout zone. Joy of invasion is now a proxy war. Into which I'm the battle of the poor. Hello everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. Just getting set up and ready to go, guys. Get the word out, we're here. Don't forget to hit that like button. And like I said, get the word out. Let people know we're here and we're going to be having the conversations that we need to have. I am the Progressive Moose from Northern Ontario, Canada. We've made it through another week, guys. It's Sunday. Time to reflect on the week, the news, the comings and goings in Canada and abroad, and everything going on, really. So, guys, share the live, get the word out that we're gonna be here. Really appreciate everybody. Hello, Tammy. Good to see you, and happy Sunday. You made it through another week. All right. I got the hopefully good enough, guys. Again, get the word out. We're here. The end of the week, guys. It's Sunday, going into the next week. We got a lot going on in Canada, North America, and the world. So we're going to be getting into it and talking about it. So much been going on. Hello, Boxy. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Katie, good to see you. Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's doing good. We all made it through another week, so that's the main thing. Why, thank you very much, Boxy. Appreciate that. Get the word out that we're gathering, guys. Show starts at 8. We got 15 minutes. I like to get going a bit early, give people time to show up and gather and say hello. Oh, you're going live as well, are you? There you go. Well, I might have to change mine then if it's going to conflict with yours. Can't try and have two lives going at the same time. Go around, so we're here today. Stop the world turning and introduce a new way of thinking with people over profit, love over greed. Raise your hands and shake 'em with me. Join the fight. We can change the world tonight. That's why I do it, guys, and that's why we all do it. We want to change the world, doing our best to change the world. So let's do our little part that we can here on TikTok as we gather and talk about the issues and moving forward, what we can do as the people. Time for a protest song. Revolution is a really big word. I've been to a protest before. I'm just jumping on the bandwagon, hoping it will help me sell some albums. Cause I gotta sell albums if I wanna make money. And that's the only thing that will ever make me happy. It was written in me when I was a child. Money makes the world go round, so we're here today to stop the world turning and introduce a new way of thinking where people over profit, love over greed. Raise your hands and shake 'em with me. Guys, I love this song. It gets me so pumped. Hey, Marcel, how you doing? I'm doing good. I'm pumped. Pumped for the show. I really am. Marcel, do you have a good week? I hope you had a good week. I hope everyone's had a good week. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little worn out through this week, but kind of coming back from it now. It's been good though. It's a good hurt. I've been busy. Aw, Marcel, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, hopefully, being here and having some conversation might kind of help you out at the end of the week here, get you on a bit of a track for Monday into the new week. Patrick, I appreciate all the love, buddy. Thank you. You're awesome. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys, and share the stream. Let everyone know we're here. Bionic, it is great to see you. I don't think we've chatted in quite a while. How are you doing? I hope you're doing fantastic. Your McDonald's Wi Fi would stop acting up, right? I have home Wi Fi here and it still messes up on me. So I feel that. Oh, there you go. Hopefully, school's going well. I know it can be frustrating sometimes and overwhelming, but I hope it's going good. That's awesome, Bionic. I'm happy to hear that. Everyone could always do with some more knowledge, whether it's in education, in school, or just learning different things from different people, different cultures. Just making sure you're aware of everything going on and have a better understanding of things around us. Zen, good to see you. How you doing, Zen? I hope your week's been good. I really do. All right, guys. Everybody's coming. Don't forget to share the stream, guys. Let people know that we're gathering. We're gonna be having the conversations. It's a Sunday news with the moose. Oh, it's been a week. Oh yeah, Bionic, absolutely. Like there's so many things that we can. We're in the thick of it, Bionic. We really absolutely are, especially given. I mean, we are what January 19th, 2025, guys. There's some big stuff going on in the country and abroad, North America as a whole, globally. Guys, like we've been in the thick of it for a while, but we're really like, especially tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be, we're passing through a threshold tomorrow, and I really hope it doesn't go down down the tube. Um, yeah, that's the best I got on that. Oh, absolutely, Bionic. I can get that for sure. This is the sort of stuff that we're dealing with, guys. Sorry, I'm gonna turn that down a bit. Um, I don't know how loud it is on your end, but it's definitely loud over here. Yeah, like it's a hard one to say what's actually gonna happen, right? but we are going to be talking about it while we're here. The show starts in 10 minutes, guys. So don't forget to like and share. Let people know we're here, we're gathering, we're getting ready for the hard conversations. We're getting ready for the conversations that our politicians fail to have with each other. So, guys, get the word out. We're here. Like the stream. Hold on to your seats because it is a rocky road ahead. Just sending out a couple more invites myself here, guys. Bear with me. Da, da, da. I'm always kind of horrible on trying to stay on top of this. Yeah, send out a bunch more here. All right. Sorry, the camera's going everywhere. Good time for a protest song. As we know it is breaking at the seams. All right, guys. Anyone want to come up, say hi if you got news from, say, your province or stuff going on locally? Guys, come on up. If you got some info, you got some news you want to share, by all means, come on up, say hello. Let me know what you got. Pollution is a real big word. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am the Progressive Moose in Northern Ontario, Canada. We are here doing the Progressive Moose News. Show starts at 8 o'clock, guys, so we still got 7 minutes till go time. What's going on out there? I've been busy, guys. I work for a landscaping company now, so part of my job is snow removal when it does. So I've been busy. I've had early mornings up at 1:30 in the morning, starting work at 3 a.m. And depending on how much snow or how hard the snow gets, it's been mixed where I've gotten 5 hours, 6 hours. Saturday, so yesterday morning, I had a 10.5 hour shift moving snow. So definitely been busy. My internal clock's a bit messed up, but it's worth it. Definitely worth it. Nikki, good to see you. Thanks for showing up. Really appreciate it, Nikki. It's been a while, I think, since you've shown up to one of my lives. Great to see you. Great to see everyone. Guys, we're all here. We made it through another week. We made it through the chaos, whether politically or societal chaos. We made it through it all, and here we are. So we can keep doing it, guys. We got this. We got this. Sometimes when I say that, I'm telling myself that just to kind of pump myself up. I'm sure everyone can understand where I'm coming from with that. It's hard. It's hard to keep the hope and keep the battle going, guys. But we have to. Absolutely have to. That's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. As you can see, I am actively, slowly nerdifying my background, guys, putting some stuff up. Uh, I'm going to be putting some more stuff up, so stay tuned and it'll get more nerdy. Don't you worry. Hello, everyone. Welcome, Oliver. Oliver, good to see you. I'm really happy to see your name pop up. How are you doing, Oliver? I hope you're doing good. Gotta say, I am a big fan, Oliver. You're fantastic. Your content is full of information, factual. It's fantastic stuff. Appreciate what you do. Urban, we are witnessing the end of the American Empire. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or witnessing the beginning of of an empire, depending on how you want to look at it, I guess. Um, Telog, good to see you, Telog. Radical, good to see you. Thanks for coming. How you doing, Radical? Been a while. Hope you're doing well. Guys, we still got a bit of time before the show actually gets started, so don't forget to hit that like button and share the stream. Appreciate all the love, guys, and everyone for showing up. Here to have the conversations that we need to have. Just before we get into it, guys, I'm going to turn the music up a bit. Let's kind of rock out a bit. I don't know how it sounds on your end. Um, all right, that's not the vibe that I need right now. Let's change that up. Let's get my favorite off, guys. Let's play my favorite one more time. Protest song by Beans on Toast. And then we'll get into it after this, guys. Like and share this stream. Let everyone know we're here. Just jam out. You take into the streets. Bored of the greed. Bored of the corruption. That is capitalism. Leaders are bought. Freedoms are sold. Listen to the girl with the megaphone. Things are gonna come. It won't take long. It's a really good time for a protest song. Revolution is a really big word. Never even been to protest before. I'm just jumping on the bandwagon, hoping it will help me sell some albums. 'Cause I gotta sell albums if I wanna make money. It will ever make me happy. I knew me when I was a child. Money makes the world go round. So we're here today to stop the world turning and introduce a new way of thinking with people over profit and love over greed. Raise your hands and shake 'em with me. Join up, join the fight. We can change the world tonight. Happening all around the world. Mutual everywhere. Civilization. Stayed up. Time for a protest song. Revolution is a really big word. Even been to a protest before. I'm just jumping on the bandwagon, hoping it will help me sell some albums. Gotta sell albums if I wanna make money. That's the only thing that will ever make me happy. It was written in me when I was a child. Money makes the world go round. We're here today to stop the world turning and introduce a new way of thinking with people over profit, love over greed. Raise your hands and shake 'em with me. Enough of us join up to join the fight. We can change the world tonight. Guys, I love that tune. I really do. If you've been here before, you already know this because I will sit here and listen and sing it before my show every time. I love it so much. That is the protest song by Beans on Toast, guys. So go check them out. Beans on Toast is great. They're an activist band based out of the UK. Fantastic stuff from them. Fantastic. All right, guys, it is 8 o'clock. Welcome to everyone that is here. Don't forget to keep hitting that like button and sharing it. Ah, Bionic, not at all. I just have fun with it. I'm a little scratchy actually too. I've been trying to drink a bit of water so I can get rid of that. Um, yeah, here we are, guys. Another week has gone by. So much more chaos politically, uh, societal, all that jazz. And we're going to dive into it, guys. Before I get going, though, on politics and such, um, Well, I guess it's still considered politics, but on a good note, if you've been paying attention, guys, there is a lot happening. One thing I want to highlight as a really good feel good story: what Wob Canoe is doing in Manitoba. Guys, Wob Canoe um, and his cabinet, I guess, have really been doing a lot of good work. If you've been watching what's going on in Manitoba, it's really, they're setting the bar for so many different things and they're adding to it. I'm so happy to hear about this news. Wob Canoe and his government are bringing out a way to end homelessness, hopefully, in Manitoba. Guys, they're putting housing first. There's been so much data and so much out there to say that housing needs to come first. You work from the bottom up. You build that foundation with housing, and everything goes along with it. That's what they're doing. They're refurbishing apartments and housing. They're gonna be building stuff, but essentially they are. Guys, I really hope this goes well. I really, really, really hope this goes well. Um, because it would set the president essentially for the country. Um, and yes, it's not free, guys. There is a high price tag on it. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have it here specifically in front of me on the price tag, but I believe we're looking at somewhere around 27, 28 million dollars. But the plan is to end homelessness in Manitoba by 2031. So, guys, they're setting the bar. Let's see what they can do. It's great news that they're putting this out. Uh, there's so much detail. I haven't d- been able to dive right into all the details on this stuff, guys. But out of the gate, it sounds fantastic. It sounds like it's going to make a huge difference uh, in Manitoba, in the province. So it's fantastic. Okay. So that being said, we're going to kind of move to Ontario because a lot of people have forgotten because Ontario legislature hasn't sat for quite a while now. Um, on the same topic, homelessness, Doug Ford, guys, a lot of people have forgotten. Doug Ford has essentially said that he's going to be passing legislation provincially that will really go against the Canadian Charter of Rights towards homeless. Um, and what it would do would just give them the power and the municipalities the power to just evict encampments and give them nothing else. The problem is they don't want the encampments, but there's nowhere for them to go. Beds are full in Ontario. Okay, and that's why they have to try and push through this legislation provincially because they've there's nowhere for these homeless to go. They don't want to spend the money in Ontario to help the homeless. So they have nowhere to actually go. And this is the result. Furthermore, they've gotten rid of and are going to continue to get rid of safe consumption sites. Okay, so you couple those two things together, it's the polar opposite to what Manitoba is doing and what Wob Canoe is doing in Manitoba. So keep that in mind, guys. And if you're in Ontario, remember this: get a hold of your MPs. Make sure you speak up against this legislation. Ontario is set to sit again, I believe, on March 4th. Um, they take so much time off for the holidays. They've been gone since before Christmas. So nothing really happens while they're gone, but it's still something that was brought to the table provincially and is sitting there waiting for when they get back. So keep it in mind. Again, if you're in Ontario, get a hold of your MPs, make your voice be heard on this one, and yeah, there's that. All right, so Krista Freeland. I haven't actually had a chance to see it yet, but Krista Freeland has announced that she will be running, so now it's official. We already really knew that she was going to be running. Um, and this is just confirmation of that, of course. But I'll admit, guys, I was pretty harsh on Mark Carney last week when I did a critique on all the different people, all the different candidates that were running that we had at the time were thinking of running. I was pretty critical of him. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's got a lot of stuff under his belt economically. So, he's got a lot of knowledge and he's got a lot of experience in that aspect of things. Um, and guys, if you haven't seen his interview with Jon Stewart yet that he did, please go and check it out when you get time. The guy's got charisma, and it sounds like he's got some clear, decisive stuff that he wants to do and or implement. Um, and I'm not saying that I throw my support behind him, guys. I'm not a liberal voter, so to me, it's kind of like I'm looking at it as if the whoever gets the leadership of the Liberal Party, my apologies, um, I just look at how their policy or their platform will shift given what their base beliefs are politically. Um, I mean, most liberals are they're capitalist, right? So there's no getting away from that, and argument can be made that a lot of NDP are. So capitalism is essentially like you're in for it regardless of who you get in charge of the party, um, or what party. Yes, NDP are more left leaning, absolutely. NDP and Green Party are the more left leaning, but really they're still not very far. Uh, yeah. Anyway, so Christopher Freeland's throwing her name in. There was a couple other people too. The foreign affairs minister as well. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on her name at this very moment, but she's throwing her name in the hat, so to speak. But my prediction, in all honesty, if I have to make one, would have to be Mark Carney for the leadership. And I say that, guys, only because like Krista Freeland, everybody, her name is tied to Justin Trudeau, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing overall, but it doesn't help given current circumstances and the current political climate in Canada. So that is going to be a detriment. And I'll also say that I think in a lot of ways, when I have seen Krista Freeland talk about different things in press conferences or meetings and stuff like that, it's really she, guys. I don't think she has the charisma to do it. I don't think she has the people skills. I would love to see somebody. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see a woman prime minister. I'd love to see women in politics. I absolutely do. I love Elizabeth May. I think we need more of Elizabeth May. She's so outspoken and the way she does things is fantastic. She's like our Bernie Sanders. Um, liberals are center right. Absolutely. Liberals are center right. Uh, absolutely. Um, Yeah, I just think with Mark Carney, he's got a lot more of the fiscal and economic experience um, on the world stage, not just within Canada, right? He's been around many big things globally and been a part of big things globally. Um, so, that's, I don't know, that's my prediction on that, guys. Um, that's really all I got on that one right now. Um, Yeah, so tomorrow, guys, tomorrow is January 20th, and we all know what that means. People have talked about it a little bit in chat already before we got going. It is Inauguration Day in the United States. Donald Trump will take the presidency tomorrow. If you're like me, this sort of stuff is like the playoffs for sports fans. Like when it comes to political stuff, even in the States, I am all over it. Um, Mark Carney believes in UBI. Okay, there you go. I hadn't actually seen that yet, but thank you for that. So there you go, guys. There's another kind of feather in his hat, in my opinion. If he's for UBI, then that's fantastic. Um, again, in my opinion. Yeah, so Donald Trump taking the presidency tomorrow. If you're like me, you'll be glued to it. You'll be watching. You'll be critiquing. You'll be breaking things down and probably kind of cursing at the TV or whatever you're watching it on every once in a um, while crossing your fingers, hoping that things go better than we expect or predict them to go. Um, So yeah. Reminder, guys, if you have anything to add to stuff I'm talking about, by all means, send a request to come up. I would absolutely um, love to have other voices and other opinions. Um, always do. So that being said, there's been quite a bit talking about getting ready for the Trump presidency here in Canada. Um, Part of that is premiers getting together with the federal government and trying to figure out kind of a unified Canadian response. Um, can you guess who the one outlier is out of the premiers? Because there is one outlier out of the bunch. I'll give you a second. I'm sure you can hit it right on the nose, too. Every single one of you. Danielle Smith. Yeah. Um, Danielle Smith is the outlier. Okay, so hey, I will admit back in the beginning, I thought Doug Ford was going to be a massive bootlicker to Trump. I was wrong, so I admitted that. Danielle Smith, though, as Rad Mike points out, is slated to go to Donald Trump's inauguration tomorrow. So if you need a bootlicker, she's for hire, guys. You don't even have to pay her. It's weird. Um, yeah. She did go down to Florida to talk to Trump about the tariffs and such on her provincial level. There have been different people do that, whether they've gone down to Mar-a-Lago to chat with him or just talk to him over the phone. A lot of the different premiers have done that because we've got different trade through different provinces, right? So we all got different trade deals. So that's why all the premiers have reached out and to their state level counterparts as well when it comes to trade. And yeah, so tomorrow's the big day. I will have popcorn in hand for everything because that's the way I am. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Craig is saying that Danielle Smith is the best leader in Canada, and sorry, I strongly disagree. You can have that opinion, and I will not criticize you on it, but I strongly disagree with you on that. So much. By honest.
I have good evening, Mr. Moose. Oh my God, I've got okay. My brain has been having like these micro explosions, probably since September, about all kinds of stuff, like the the, the absolute institution of class that has really had a good foothold in the United States. Like it's had a hard hold on people, and yet still there's trying to strive for this American dream that ended. I hate to say this, but it ended in the Gilded Age. I mean, because
it
and maybe in the 40s. right? But that's when you had like, you know, another World War thing happening, you know. I mean, I find
There's
that
been the hiccups. Yeah.
the history is seriously rhyming right now. Like you can see it. It's
Yeah,
rhyming and
history
I don't
history tends to repeat itself, and that's what we're seeing right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Especially with Donald Trump, because they have the
I
data is out there that even hate speech or hate crime is up in Canada, and there is the
yeah.
correlation to Trump and how, like Mark Zuckerberg with Meta has relaxed fact checking and just things towards
Oh,
hate speech and
okay, can we
everything else.
talk
Like,
about let's just
yep,
talk about Meta for a quick second cuz I had saw someone talk about and they said you can look it up because every senator and every congressperson has to state where they put their investments. Do you not realize how many of them actually invested into Meta? Like I'm just like
yep.
blown away. Like but you're not supposed to be doing this.
No,
You're
and you're
supposed
not,
to be
and that's
bipartisan.
yep, and that's the sort of stuff, and that's across, and I'll make sure to be very clear. Like when it comes to American politicians, Republicans and Democrats have their hands in
Mm.
the cookie jar when it comes to the stock market, and they play
Mhm.
it, right? Like
Mhm.
that's the data's out there. We see that, and even Nancy Pelosi, like reporters have full on asked Nancy Pelosi about it, and she's like, "No, no, like we don't need to pass anything, yeah, we're
Right.
fine."
It's wild to me. It's wild to me, and that there it is still this grandiose idea and belief that is it has become a part of their culture so richly that
Yeah,
now they
and
have no choice but to scapegoat. And
yeah,
that's what's happening. There's this
and
massive amount of scapegoating that's going on, and and it's feeding into that mean machine that we all know,
yeah,
right? It feeds that hate machine, and I'm just like, this is
yeah.
wild to me.
Elon Musk is prime example of that, right? Because ever since
Mm.
Trump won the election, he hasn't left Mar-a-Lago. And a part of the thing is Trump wants him in the administration to kind of clean up spending, as he says.
Mm.
And it's really all that
Man,
stuff.
how many ventures? Wait, how many ventures did Elon actually fail at, but also stole? Okay.
Well, and this is yeah, and that's he's not
The
he's an innovator.
hypocrisy. Unreal, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like the
Yeah.
guy hasn't actually
In your
done
face.
anything. Yeah, but that's where we see where really at that point Elon Musk had gave the most money to the campaign and therefore
Yeah.
Yeah.
bought
He's
his
fighting
way
fire with
trying into
fire,
yeah,
He
basically.
gave the
absolutely.
most money, so that makes him a great finance
I
guy.
gotta say, the
Right?
Crescent, I haven't seen you in a
He's
while,
got the
and
most
I haven't
money.
seen you with a beard. That's an amazing grow. That's an
Thank you.
amazing grow.
He's like Father
Him,
Time.
bionic.
Yeah, that's
Since I
I'm
commitment.
sorry.
contributed most of the money, I'm now in charge of finances. I'm now in charge of this. It's
Uh,
all me or nothing.
Oh my, it's wild.
Oh,
yeah,
it is.
it doesn't give you like Tony Stark vibe though, for sure.
Well, it would if he didn't do that little kid jump that he does on stage. Like
Yeah,
that just,
Oh,
Grant.
like
He looks like a Muppet when
oh
he
my
does that. I'm
gosh.
sorry.
it's
What
like
the
Yeah.
it's
fuck
yeah,
is
like
that?
it with him
He's
being the way
like
he is, it's almost like a
Pinocchio.
Captain Underpants, right? Like
Exactly. Like, oh, this cake,
I'm a real
me.
boy.
I'm a real one. You know what? Okay, you know what he looks like? He looks like the mixture of the guy off of Goonies with the the one with Chunk that like sat down and watched TV with him, mixed with like some guy that had his head bashed in, because he's
Oh, you
looking
mean
all sort of.
from oh, I know what you mean. From
I want to say his name
from the
is
Goonies.
Sloth,
yeah, the Goonies,
but
exactly. That's the
but
Hey
I'm not
you
sure of
Hey,
his
guys!
Michael.
name.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
you
you
guys.
guys.
Hey,
Yeah,
you guys.
One
but
of the
that's
things that
when.
I find so hilarious is that like in the early 2000s, if you recall, I think it was during the presidency race,
Mhm.
where
For which
Howard
one
Dean,
though?
remember? No, remember when Howard Dean did it? Yeah, and
Oh
he
yeah,
laughed. He
yeah,
laughed.
yeah.
He laughed so hard
Yeah.
because of that
Okay,
scream.
so
And now look,
was that
look
for
at the
Bucky?
Muppet Show we have now, and I'm just like, what? But Howard
Yeah.
Dean
We're
actually
gonna
has a
get
good
this country
policy.
back, and
What
we're
the
gonna
hell?
get this state back. Yeehaw!
I have had people
Woo!
in my city. Now I live in Canada, and they're like, "Why didn't you vote for Trump?" I'm like, "I may be a dual citizen, but I'm not an idiot."
Yeah.
Yeehaw!
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, man.
There you
Yeah.
go. Nerdy and the Nat JT, great to see you both. Thanks for coming. Yeah,
Woo.
so like I've said
Yeah.
before, guys, when it comes to the Trump stuff, everything is a damn wild card with him, depending on his mood, right? So we already know he's going to be
Yeah.
doing the tariffs more than likely. Uh,
Can you? Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt,
the
but
biggest,
can you mention
no, go
about
ahead.
what he's going to do with the taxes for people that are going to pay parental maternity? Was it parental allowance or whatever that is
Parental
in the
leave?
states?
Oh, parental.
And
I
it's
don't
like
even know.
It's also
if you
I don't even
pay
parental.
think that they
for it,
have paid parental
that's
leave,
the
do
taxes
they?
go to the dad. Like
Oh,
if when they're filing
you
What?
mean
taxes.
paternal? Yeah, paternal support is what
What?
you're talking
Oh my
about.
God, I
Yeah,
gotta look this
So
one up.
yeah,
But
so
it goes to the
yeah,
father.
yeah. So if he's paying parent support or whatever, the taxes from that go to not the mother, the person paying the child support,
yeah.
which would be the
Oh my
father.
God.
I mean,
I don't know.
Okay.
he's
I'm
doing that
wondering if it's
tomorrow.
even.
Look that up.
Yeah. Smarshy, I think you want to
It's going to
jump in for a
change a
sec, eh?
lot of. It's what it is going to do. Honestly, it's going to bring parents or mothers, black mothers, and black fathers together again. What it's going to do, it's going to make the matrimony back. It's going to make the union back, where you're not going to have
Okay.
5 baby daddies
It's
anymore because you're going to make credit off
Oh,
that.
um. Oh God. There's so many bad things that you just said in that one
I
fucking
don't know
sentence.
if I did.
um
Go for it, though.
There.
I'm kind of questioning
I
right
don't
now,
think
like
bribery works. Bribery doesn't
yeah,
work in
So parent
relationships.
support right
Okay.
now, the
Okay.
mothers,
like
Skiller.
like
the
you're
mothers
you're
that
Skiller.
have the
you're being
children.
sarcastic.
Are,
Hold on,
Skiller.
guys. You're being sarcastic, right, Skillard?
no, tomorrow, like look it up. The Trump's
No. No. What you
one of
No,
the
no,
just
no,
said
no.
is
taxes.
What you
very.
just said, how you came off with that, like you're being sarcastic in terms of like the whole
It's
baby
actually going
daddy
to
crap
happen
you just
tomorrow. If
said.
you just Google it,
Okay.
Aside from
Skiller.
it
parent
happening,
support.
no. Aside from it happening tomorrow, you are really misinformed with the idea that bribery is going to work with bringing families together of a
Look it up.
particular
Just
race,
look it
which
up,
is
please.
no, no,
I
no,
don't
no,
have
no, no, no,
anyone
no, no, no,
No,
calling
no.
me.
no,
So
no,
No,
no.
please
No.
aside
do
that,
No,
not.
we're
aside
asking,
from
do
that,
you
no, 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 no,
believe
no.
Okay.
what you just said? Do you believe
It's fucking
your whole
disgusting.
comment about the baby daddy thing, where it's going to
Yeah,
stop
Yeah.
baby daddies from,
yeah.
yada, yada, yada?
Yeah,
Well,
that is
yeah.
so unbelievably
It's
disgusting of
like an
you. No,
infraction,
no,
like when
Skillard,
you do like
Skillard,
on the car and
Skillard,
you speed and it's criminal
Skillard.
infraction, like you're speeding
Okay,
over
but this is
100
the thing.
kilometers an hour, miles an hour. That's a criminal
Okay,
offense. You're going to
the
get
fact that
charged.
you
That's
said
what they're trying to do. Is
black women and black men are going to
oh,
have
and
black
and
baby
white
daddies, that.
mothers that want to take
Mm.
baby daddies away from the picture too. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
the
all
fact that
mothers.
you.
It's all mothers, not
Mm.
just black. But
Okay, yeah,
in the
this is
United
why
States,
I
that's
don't
the
deal with
main
Skillard
picture. We
because
need
Yeah.
black fathers back in the.
this is
Okay,
why I don't deal with
bye.
him.
I'm sorry, guys. I apologize for that.
There's a whole lot more to unpack
Apparently.
There was a whole
in
box
with
there. Yeah,
that
I'm
there
sorry.
is like there's a truckload of boxes because you're taught. This is the thing is that, like I said, in the United States, class is really,
Uh,
really profound in their
yeah.
culture. The
Nerdy,
other
come on
part
up still if you want to. Keep going,
is
sorry.
that it is just as bad, if not worse, with racism. It is worse, right? There's no stratification for people. Those who do have stratification it there's all kinds of certain avenues that have been able to be met, and not it's not available for everybody. And that's what I find, that there is this, like I said again, it is this deep rooted illusion that it is this great American dream that you will have stratification and you will become a millionaire. No, you will not. I'm sorry. You just can't show up and become a millionaire. There is
No.
there is historic means of keeping people down, and they have been able to keep that in check for 400 years. And that's why I like reading the book. I've started reading the book, White Trash, the 400-year history of class in the United States. Really good book.
Oh, I want to read that
Can't
one.
recommend it enough. Really good book.
I
Um,
really.
and it talks about how that policies have been ensuring that the classes will stay down because they ensure that mediocre education is given. They're only given enough education to read, write, and do arithmetic so that they can become factory workers. You have to understand that this is the machine this is the meat grinder people are going into.
Mhm.
And so I love the idea of it. And the only way, I think the only way that a lot of people have gained stratification financially anyways, and it wasn't a lot of people, but it was quite a number of people in the United States, was through TikTok, because it was
Mhm.
monetized, highly monetized. What was
That's
the rate? I'm
something.
not too sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something quick, and then nerdy.
Yeah.
I'll let you chime in. That was something. Looking at the TikTok ban stuff right now down in the United States, I love how, and that's another thing where I point towards the donors, right? Because TikTok, the owner of TikTok, gave money to Trump's campaign. He's actually going to be at the inauguration. And this is why Trump has kind of walked back a little bit on the ban and said, well, we'll give you some leeway. And, if you do it this way, then we're going to allow it to stay. And because he's trying to appease his donors, right? And
Yeah, but
TikTok being one
and
of them.
there's another part of that too, because it's also this, let's play nice until I have to make a move, and that's what Shu is doing. I think he's waiting so he can play nice so that he can make a move. Now, will he be bought out? I don't know. I don't think so. But definitely he'll be able to have them by the short and curlies. I'll say that. And now I will mute.
Yeah. Nerdy, good to see you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Skillard's still in here, so I just wanted to address him on a couple things. The fact that he said that black women have multiple baby daddies is wild. And let alone not just black women. The fact that anybody like goes after women at all for having multiple baby daddies, like that's not on the women. That's also on men too. Let's just go there, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that either, right? So it's like let's not do that. Let's not do that. But also let's not go after the black community for being put into positions that they were put into by the government. So they've been put into positions of being like it put into impoverished areas and stuff like that because the government moved them there. So this is nothing like the gall he had to say stuff like that was just wild to me. But also, I wanted to say, Skillard, this is also one of the reasons why I banned you from trivia. And I don't ban very many people from trivia, but you were blocked from my trivia account. That's how bad you were in my trivia. So as soon as I see your name all the time, I'm like, oh God, they don't know how bad this guy is.
Can I just say
No,
this? I gotta say this. I just
I
have to
have
say,
been blocked for.
damn, girl. Oh, because like I said, a lot of people do not get banned from trivia night. And
No.
Nope.
honest to goodness, not very many. And that means that is some crude dude.
Yeah.
Oh, good
I
on you,
thought
though.
It's an
like
Thank you.
inclusive space. And as long as
It
you can come
is.
in and be an adult, I don't care if you're left,
And
right,
having a
like,
couple of laughs and being good about it and not getting your
yeah,
panties in a twist, all good.
yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah,
only
I
the worst
had
of the worst that have gotten banned, so.
I've had him blocked for a while, and I couldn't figure out where he was from. And then he started
Trivia.
talking and opened up his gob, and no, I've had him on my panel a couple times, and everyone's blocked him.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
Yeah.
certain people go into the block list and unblock him so he can come back again. I'm like, stop doing that. So yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I just want to take a minute and give a shout out to Nerdy and Beaver Politics right now, guys. So, if you don't know, Beaver Top Politics is fantastic. They got a great crew, and they've started to go every day of the week, 5 days a week,
5 days.
Monday through Friday. And each night has its own kind of set kind of guidelines and topics. So, guys, if you don't know about Beaver Politics, go on over, check them out right now. Here on TikTok, you're on YouTube. Is there anywhere else you guys are?
We're just TikTok and YouTube right now. Yeah, we
Okay.
post our every night. I post the lives just in case if you missed it, then you can go back and you can watch it on YouTube. I think we have like over 40 subscribers now, so yay, that's awesome.
Hey,
But
there you
yeah,
go.
Monday nights is Indigenous Matters with Treaty Six Birder. So she'll be talking about the Indigenous community and how Canadian politics affects that community and how they can also affect Canadian politics as well. And then Tuesdays is News Hour with Frontline Feminist. She addresses things in the comments, but also goes over like the major topics for the week or for the weekend. So the TikTok ban will probably be on there. I have no idea. So and then Wednesday is Generation Next, and Radical is running that one, and it's a lot about trying to get the young people out to vote and educating them on the political atmosphere and voting with your head, not your heart, that kind of stuff. So but really trying to focus on the youth and getting them out there to vote. Thursdays is an open discussion. So just there's a couple topics that are picked. Sometimes they might be social justice issues. And then sometimes they're just going to be, we're going to talk about things that happen in politics and people have an open forum to come up and chat about it. And then Friday nights is my night. And I do an open debate style. So debate discussion. And I go longer. Everybody else is like an hour and a half. I went for almost 6 hours the other night. So I have it planned for 3 to 4 hours, but I'm going to probably end up going longer because I'm known for my longer lives.
Oh, she's amazing. Her political lives,
Yeah.
fantastic.
So
Yeah, no, I feel bad that I haven't actually been able to make it out just with my schedule
you're good.
lately. It's been so hard. But yeah, no, I remember when I was on and I go on to YouTube and I watched, the recaps and everything and keep myself kind of up to date on what you guys are doing. So I do my best that
Yeah.
way. Um,
Nice. Thanks for the shout
absolutely.
out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I got to do my best on that because you guys do great work. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Um,
Appreciate that.
Yes. Is there anything anyone kind of wanted to highlight from this week that happened? If
Um,
you go ahead.
I don't know actually. I have so much on my mind, but it's going around in circles, and I can't grasp just one thought.
I wanted to address something to do with like Facebook, like Facebook, TikTok, like the whole ban right there. So Jax, I don't know if you guys know Jax, but Jax
Yep.
is the one who did Victoria's Secret. So she put out a video and she actually in like tells us like why so many of the senators in Congress actually voted to ban TikTok. And it's because a lot of them actually have shares in Meta because Meta is a publicly traded company, whereas TikTok isn't. So TikTok being very successful actually affects their bottom line and affects
Hmm.
their pocketbooks. And that's a lot of the reason why why they were looking at banning TikTok in the States, because it was so lucrative to the one percenters and the people who were
Yeah.
running the show rather than how beneficial it is to the rest of us,
Hmm.
where we can have forums like this and discuss things that are going on in the world and in our countries. The algorithm is so great on this app, and that's why it's so priceless, because it gets you to find the people who are like-minded and you can all talk about the same things and you can all band together. And that's another thing that the government doesn't want, especially
Yeah.
not the fascist oligarch governments, right? They don't want us to band together. So
Yeah.
Well, one of
One
the
thing
things that I don't
I
understand, one of the things I don't understand is why is it that when Trump tried to do this back in his presidency, it didn't work? Was it because
that's what I
that
was just gonna
Meta
say.
was in the sidelines or what?
I think part
Um,
of it was because it was an executive order, and executive orders tend to not stick. Whereas this now is full law, and law has to be like abided by.
I love how the US does this, because what they do is they do sneaky bills. So they'll have a bill where it's like, okay, let's protect this and protect that, and then all of a sudden they'll slide something in where it's like, and we get a 5% reduced tax
yeah.
rate for the billionaires shit. Like, it's like,
And
oh my god,
yeah,
seriously?
and all that ties into the whole insider trading that their politicians do that they're not supposed to do, but still
Yeah,
do.
right.
And
Like you said,
nobody,
they're
Yeah.
supposed
they
to
don't
they're
give themselves
supposed to.
consequences. Yeah.
No, this
Um,
They're
is
too involved
that's
and
all
they
they get.
sway the market.
yeah, absolutely.
And here I
Actually,
am,
guys,
rage cleaning.
I did want to highlight something that I saw this morning. I completely forgot about earlier. Joe Rogan is running his mouth about Canada. So, if anyone has actually seen it,
Now,
like the guy goes off about how like authoritarian communist we are at this point. And he can't believe that, a country is going that way and it's done by the Liberal Party and Trudeau and da 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 goes right off, right? And this is where I want to highlight to people. If you haven't seen it, he goes off just saying all the normal stuff that they say. But remember, guys, and I need to remember because I keep breaking it down as per definitions, where I need to I realize not for anyone that's going to be here or watching right now, I'm sure. But for a lot of people, if you're having the argument about whether Canada is communist or not, or authoritarian dictatorship, please remind people that if he was an authoritarian leader, he would not allow flags that say fuck Trudeau on them.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, it,
All of those flags, the people who would be carrying them would have been chucked in. No
yeah, and
jury, no court, just chucked in.
I want to give Ottawa's, I think it's Crown, that's doing the Pat King case. He
Mhm.
was looking at 10 years. They want to throw him in there for 13. I think that's fucking amazing. I think that's amazing. Like,
He's a
they
traitor.
were, yeah, I know, they were only supposed to give, I think, I read the article that said he was only looking at 8 to 10, but now he's looking at 13, and I'm like, yeah, man, do it. Like, let's make an example of these people, because I mean, honestly, they've been getting away with stuff for so long.
The
Yeah,
other thing you have to remember, sorry, the other thing you have to remember when you're looking at talking about it being like fascist or, like authoritarian or anything, is that we Trudeau wouldn't have stepped down if he was
No.
authoritarian, and also we wouldn't be able to vote. Like that's
Yeah,
the whole
there would
thing,
be
like
no
right?
elections.
It would. Yeah, exactly. There would be none of that stuff. It would be appointed or it would be passed down, like that kind of stuff. It we wouldn't have the democracy that we have going. We still live in a democracy, so
yeah, absolutely, and
Oh
that's
yeah,
and that's the sort of
hair. Oh
stuff.
my god, I'm scared.
And that's the sort of stuff we a lot of people talk about different aspects of things or different issues or different but they're all like I think of all the issues we face today as almost like a tree, right? You've got your main base, which I will say is conservatism in my opinion, or capitalism, they're all coupled really, but and then you have your branches. And the branches are all this sort of stuff we're talking about where it's all affected and it's all connected in one way or another, and you see where it branches off and you have more than nuanced conversation on this shit, right? Sorry about my language. um, so yeah, and it's just another form and mechanism of the way Canada. That was my main point. Canadians taking so much American media, right? You say the name Joe Rogan, and everybody knows who you're talking about. You say the name Ben Shapiro, everybody knows who you're
Oh
talking
God.
about. All
Mm-hmm.
that normal stuff where it's like we take in most of our channels on cable are American as opposed to Canadian, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
consumption that we get, and for the people that don't pay as much attention to the politics and the how it works and the comings and goings, they just see, these big names on their fucking, mics spewing whatever, and they don't bother to go look into things. It's just because it's repeated so many damn times. That's what it
Right.
is to them, right?
I was talking with Radical and Miss Radical and the panel on Thursday, and I was saying that the reason why the slogans are sticking is because it takes 3 days to form a habit, but it takes 21 days to break it. And that once you get over that one slogan, then you get out of that one slogan, then you have another, then you have another, and it continuously is pushed. And I'm terrified right now. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm terrified of who's gonna win.
Well, another thing that was looked at like after the election or even just before the election too in the States was that a lot of the conservative talkers, they had a bigger uh they had a bigger following. They had a bigger, I guess, more awareness spread out about them than there was about anybody that was like leftist or liberal or socialist or anything like that, right? So if you look, there were these huge bubbles of like Joe Rogan, Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, like all of these big, huge things. Andrew Tate's even in there and stuff, right? And then you have all the small ones, and they're a little bit smaller. We had a couple, like they had a couple of bigger ones, obviously on TikTok, like Harry, Parker, Dean, Chris, like all of those guys, they had huge followings and stuff, but they weren't getting them anywhere else. And the podcast world was like the big thing, right? So that's where you get Joe Rogan, and then like I said with Charlie Kirk, and I can't with that guy. He's already been flapping his yap today, so yeah. But that was a lot of it. And a lot of it had to do with that whole thing about the right had more money to pay them to do all like to spread this propaganda, right? Whereas the left doesn't. Like we don't the left tends to not do things unethically, and I think like it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, because we're not willing to take that extra step to do the thing that might just be a little bit over the edge, right? That we end up that ends up being our detriment in the end, because we're not taking those leaps of faith and the jumps and stuff like that the other ones are doing, and crossing that line completely, right? We won't even step our toe over it at all. So
Yeah,
Well, you have
and
to
that's
you have to remember too is that that's how they've always done politics, right? When you're thinking of how they were able to do it with such ease, it's like second nature. When
mhm.
you go into politics with some sort of any measurable amount of integrity, you don't want to do those sleazy things that the other crocodiles are doing, right? I said it before and I've said it again. Trump will, like he was saying, he was going to drain the swamp. Yeah, whatever. You're just changing the alligators, for God's sakes. That's all he did. That's all he did. He just changed the players. He has worse players now in this term than he did the last term. Like,
Well,
I
near the
Even
end of
can't,
it
my
last time,
brain is just like,
near the end of it last time, he was scraping the barrel to begin with at the very end of it. So as soon as you
you
come
guys,
again here, I'm
he
like,
didn't.
what do you
He
got left?
he
I
he
mean,
switched.
what's shocking?
He
Shocking.
he switched the alligators for zombies. Like literally, they look like zombies. It, it, it it's I don't know. I see them as like zombies or monsters. I don't see them as alligators or swamps. It's just how I see it, and my brain's trying to process what I'm saying as I'm saying it because it made sense in my head, and now it's not making sense. Because
Well, so this might help, and I mean, if I'm way off on this, please correct me, Smarshy. So one thing that I've had issues grappling or wrapping my mind around is because when all of us are sitting here talking about and listening to other people talk about politics, we're talking about it from the standpoint of what politics is supposed to be and used to be, right? We're not looking at politics from the
oh
nuance of what it is today. It's clickbait
Exactly.
videos. It's you're die hard for your camp, and that's it. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter what they do wrong. Doesn't matter what's actually going on. If you're conservative, it's conservative, and no one else, and fuck the other side, regardless of if it's good or not.
no, it
And
makes
this
perfect
is the
sense.
mentality of the voters, right? Like,
There's a lot of people, as you said, are treating their politics like the same way they treat their sports teams.
yeah,
That's my team. That's always been my team, and for quite a few, particularly in the West and whatnot, it's always been like we've always been conservatives out here because that's who we are, and
yeah.
it's never been. they've never taken the time, like, is this the right thing for me? Is this the right thing to investigate? There's a couple of people that I've heard talk about them not being conservatives anymore because they actually took a minute to listen to what's going on in regards to sort of particularly for some women where they discovered, hey, they seem to be a little pro-abortion lately. Like maybe that's not something in my best interest for myself, my daughters, my
Mm-hmm.
everything else. So it's good when they can start to do that. But the second thing also is that they've also gone, we've also watched everything going from where our politics are discussing what kind of programs and what kind of things that could be helpful to us to where we've got people yelling at us saying, you're trying to bring the trans thing to my school into the bathrooms. And where you're sitting here going, I don't know how to argue with this because I don't even know where the fuck you came from in regards to this set of arguments. And B, regardless of what I'm going to tell you, you're going to come out with some weird, stupid talking point that you heard somewhere that's completely wrong, but it doesn't matter to you. You're either going to do a whataboutism, you're going to do a complete denial, you're going to gish gallop, whatever your bro podcast that you're following, whether it be a Joe Rogan or a Ben Shapiro or a Jordan Peterson, whatever that you're going to emulate, it's going to be one of those guys. And I mean, I've battled a couple of these guys, and it's usually I come down to a point I'm like, all right, listen, you're just doing rhetoric. Who's your guy? Which one am I actually sort of arguing with?
Well,
Because I know you're parroting one of them.
And they don't pay attention to actual policy, right? Like we said, it's
No.
the statements, it's the rage farming essentially. I mean, you have people.
Rage
I
baiting.
get people. Yep.
What is it?
Yep.
Rage baiting, catch lines, and glossy
mhm.
pictures.
Yep.
And see, the thing is, I've had conversations with people. They've come to my DMs and on Facebook and TikTok, and they're like, "Well, da 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 da, this, that, and the other about something they have no idea what they're talking about." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll forward them like the DSM-5, right? I'm like, okay, look up the DSM-5. That'll help you understand. I'll give you the NIH medical dictionary about what you need, what you're not understanding about this. I will do that." And then as soon as I do something, they're like, "Oh, da, 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 da." This one guy's like, "Well, I know we have different styles and stuff like that, and blah blah blah." And I want to take you out for coffee. I'm like, if I don't feel safe with you behind a computer, why would I feel safe with you in front of me? Like that is not going to happen. He's like, "Oh, well, we can go for a beer." I'm like, I don't drink alcohol, and I don't trust you. That is not going to fucking happen. I'm sorry. And he's like, well, I'm like, I said no. That's all you need to hear was the no. No, it's radical. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's something, like I said, it's so hard to try and look at it from the perspective of the majority of society right now, where you
Mm-hmm.
know we vote, whether it's you're going to be voting strategic in the next election, or whether you're going to be voting based on like platforms, policy, which both can be true at the same time, of course. Um, but I mean, it's that's the problem, is not enough people look at the policies. They don't look at what's actually. I saw a breakdown of a lot of the stuff that's pretty much dead in the water, for lack of better words, for policies and legislation in the federal government. And one thing
Yeah.
is the Online Harms Act, which I
Mm-hmm.
honestly, my mind completely drew a blank and forgot about that one. But that's another one that's dead in the water that would actually do a lot of good, I think. Um,
Oh
but
yeah.
because of what's happened, right? And that was another thing. You have Joe Rogan was trying to say that bill, and he said a different bill from like the 1980s, I guess. So it was one of those, like, if you're going to talk about Canada and Canadians and our stuff, you got to be able to actually realize, like, and know what you're talking
Right.
about. Um,
Well, I have heard from many Canadians and Americans on lives where Americans are hosting them, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, do you guys know the difference between um freedom of speech and freedom of expression. They're like, no. I'm like, one's American, one's Canadian. They're like, no, 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 we've had free speech. I said, yes. And when they ratified that bill, all they did was change the one word from speech to expression. It's the same thing, just different terms. And it's so beyond me that they're so dead set against having this word or having this thing in their bill because they've got to have freedom of speech. And I've told them, you don't need any freedom of speech. You have freedom of expression. It protects you the same way it protects the Americans while talking about the government and protesting. That is what it is. And I keep telling them, I'm like, I have these people come into my lives that are before the ban was actually put in place this weekend, and this guy goes, "Oh, Trump's gonna own Canada." I'm like, okay, like what?
He can't even stand outside for the cold weather for swearing in, but he's going to come up to Canada? Okay.
Hey, speech
Yeah,
is a form of expression. People don't
Right?
realize that. Oh, exactly, Nikki. That's exactly what it is.
yeah, absolutely.
But it's just
I
two different terms. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna move on, guys. So stay on up if you want to continue, but I am gonna move on. I did want to touch on the Gaza Israel conflict, Israel conflict. I should clarify. As of right now, guys, there is a ceasefire put in place. Um, how it's gonna go? I mean, look at the last time there was one. Israel broke it instantaneously, really. So we'll see what happens this time. But I guess there has actually been
There's
um,
been some trades.
some. There has been some trades. Looks like there's been three Israeli hostages released.
Hmm.
So and we need to use nuance when we talk about the conflict, guys, because when we look at things, when we look at mainstream media, most of the mainstream media is saying, "Oh, they're working on a peace deal or a ceasefire deal," and it keeps saying it falls through. But what they don't mention is Israel is the one that keeps saying no. Israel is the one that keeps pushing back on these peace deals or these ceasefires. Okay, so and again, they've broken ceasefires before multiple times throughout kind of history at this point. I mean, this is a
right.
conflict that technically has been going on since, fucking early
And
1940s.
can we? Oh, I just want to say this, like before I let the other two lovely panelists have a say in. Um, my thought is once they get all the Israeli hostages, it's going to go back to the same shit. It's just a ploy to get them back, and
Mhm.
they're going to attack. It's going to be another. It's going to be a continued genocide on the Palestinian people, and that's my thought on that.
I'm shaking my head because it's not that I fully disagree with you. It's you're giving them more interest and care about the hostage. They don't. Hannibal Directive alone shows that Israel couldn't care less about their own hostages, let
No,
alone,
and I get
yeah.
that, Joe, but this is just my feeling,
Yeah.
right? This is like it's like a game
Oh yeah,
of cat
you're
and
Yeah,
not
mouse.
wrong that they're going to continue. That
yeah,
I
No, it's not.
I
It's
haven't.
not just.
Yeah.
And this is what makes me so mad.
Hmm.
It's not gonna stop. It's not a fucking conflict, and call it what you will. If you have to say conflict for safe reasons on TikTok,
mm,
we'll call it that. But I went into a live this morning around 3 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm pro Palestine, and I'm pro Ukraine. They're like, you can't be one for one and one for both. I'm like, yeah, you can. Oh,
Considering they're both like being for Palestine, being for Ukraine, it's the same thing in regards to there is
yeah.
a larger force trying to encroach on the land of somebody else, and it's this weird thing that somehow and of all the things I told of that you gotta give a little bit of credit to Israel is that is for them to be able to shove themselves into Palestine because they weren't there at all before 1947. And then for some reason at this point, once they kind of slid themselves in a couple of houses, like, yeah, we're just defending ourselves. as they're pushing out further and further. And this is just defense. And I mean, as the positive right now they're having in Gaza, they're continuing in Lebanon, and they're pushing themselves out in Lebanon. So
Absolutely.
they're
are.
just
Is
It's
they're
not
It,
the greater
it's an
Israel map is a
encroachment.
thing. Mhm.
It's an
It is.
encroachment, right? They're encroaching
It
in
is.
on it, and that's why you can be for both.
yeah.
And like Joe said,
Yeah.
there is a larger entity that's out there that's invading them. And so that's the thing. They are having full out invasions, and that's why you can be for both.
and
So I'm
absolutely.
wrong in how I feel.
Yeah, and it's one of those, and again, it's these guys like it's all self defense. Explain the activities in Lebanon then. Like
Well, and
that's
this
not even
is
their own country.
yeah, and even the West Bank, right? Like everyone
Yep.
forgets that they've been actively taking property and you know committing acts of violence and such in the West Bank as well. And this is where
Yep.
it's really, in my opinion, I think at this point it's a step in the door for a broader conflict overall. And the fact is, the U.S. has been enabling it, and under the new administration coming in, I think I'd be safe to say that things are going to amp up a bit more before they get better in terms of that conflict. And I mean,
APAC
talking
has
about
both.
Ukraine, like Russia, Ukraine and Russia, I've been very open in terms of I think that's only going to come to an end because Trump is going to allow Russia to annex parts of Ukraine, if not more, and that's why, if anything, you'll see peace in that scenario. But I think Ukraine overall, if Trump tries to go that way, for lack of better words, and I'm sure they won't say it this way, but probably give Trump the middle finger, say fuck you, and just keep fighting for their freedom.
Unfortunately, they Ukraine also kind of needs the assistance of the U.S. in regards to military aid, in regards to equipment. It's one of the things that's
That
been
would go
helping
down the
working for them.
tube. I think that's going to go down the tube anyway under the new administration. Maybe not right away, but it is because that's a part of what a lot of the people that he wants to try and have around him. I think it's garbage to be helping Ukraine or, as they say, funding the war. But the hypocrisy because of what Israel's doing, of course. Um,
The hang on a sec. He's gonna. I don't know if he's got any packs in regards to weapons manufacturers because they're gonna want to continue to support Ukraine just for the contracts alone.
oh,
So
absolutely.
he
There,
might
yeah,
have some push there.
yeah, and you're right about that because the fact is their economy is so heavily based on military funding towards contractors and weapon manufacturers, shit like that, right? So,
They love their
um,
packs.
yep, no, absolutely. Furthermore, guys, I wanted to add to this as well, kind of a tie-in to Joe Rogan, and somebody else pointed it out. I believe it was on the Rational National, and I think it was a great point where he had said all that stuff he said about Canada, but yet in Texas right now, and this is tied to Gaza, of course, but essentially in Texas, they're passing a law which you cannot criticize Israel whatsoever under
Not the first
penalty
state.
of possibly losing your job, depending
Not
what
the
you
first
do
state.
for work and everything. Um, so, if Joe Rogan wants to talk about authoritarian rule, well, that's a good step right there, first and foremost. And of course, it's in Texas, so
I
that's no
was
surprise.
I was watching a Canadian content creator made this video and it kind of goes to YouTube and
Hmm.
or it goes to the UCP's like main page and I went there and I looked at it. Polyev said if he gets in, he will defund any universities that have pro-Palestine refugee rallies because he wants the Zionist students to feel comfortable walking on to the university property.
Yeah, and just to be clear, you're absolutely right on that. But let's be clear, the liberals. I mean, Justin Trudeau said in a press conference that Zionism shouldn't be a dirty word. Um,
Yes, I
so
understand that, but I mean, it's the pot calling the kettle black. I understand that. I'm not going to
Yeah.
stick up for
No,
Trudeau
no.
because
I'm just making sure for context. Like even the liberals are
oh
like,
yeah,
oh
even the
no,
liberals are just
we
as
gotta bend the
complicit.
knee in
Yeah,
that sense, right?
no, no,
In the
Uh,
states
they're
right
just as
now,
complicit.
yeah, in the
yeah.
states right now, there's 26 states that have passed legislation that is illegal to boycott Israel. They've got
There you go.
26 passed by legislation, and they've got 5 of them passed by executive order, where it's illegal to boycott or
What?
do any sorts of boycotts against Israel.
Yep. And guys, we've
Wow.
seen it
APAC is
here in
working
Canada,
strong.
right? We've seen it here in Canada, not in terms of legislation, but look at it, the Ontario House of Commons. The one MP was
Yeah,
forced
Sarah
to
Jama.
not be in Parliament or not be able to speak, even though it wasn't even her comments were made on social media, not on the floor or anything to do with her political life. Um,
So
Was that towards
this one's
Paul
a kind
Yes?
of a yeah. No, this was in the MPP. This is during the provincial legislation. This one
yeah,
upset me a little bit. So it's actually three MPs were kicked out for wearing the keffiyehs. It was
hmm
Sarah Jama, as well as Joel Harden and I want to say Kristen Wong.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so all 3 were kicked out, and but additionally, on a party level, Sarah Jama was kicked out of the NDP for her comments on Palestine, only for the NDP party to make the same statement a couple of days later. So there, or around the same time. So there was a little bit of, I got a little annoyed with the NDP, particularly on provincial level for that. The yeah, the conservatives are very pro Israel. It's been always been known. They've been quite vocal about it, both whether it be Doug Ford or Pierre Polyev or any of the other ones. It's
Right.
finding those who are
Absolutely.
not. That's kind of a bit of a challenge. And even the NDP has been kind of a weird sort of, well, we're for the ceasefire. I'm like, yeah, can you finish that? Like, can you going? Can you get
Yeah,
past ceasefire to permanent ceasefire? Can
yeah.
you at
Well,
least say that what they're doing? How can you wear the orange shirt on Orange Shirt Day while still not doing something about what's going on in Palestine with their kids? I'm sorry.
right,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing. It's like Zen had brought up a good point. Our the trans community and the 2S LGBTQIA plus community in the U.S. is in fucking trouble. We know that.
Yeah.
But again,
Absolutely.
it goes to the whole oh god, who says it? We're all mutual. I think we're all mutuals with it. I'm not them. I'm not sure. Is
I
it
haven't.
Nick? He says love is louder. Or did he
Oh
Yes,
say
yeah, yeah.
love
Miss
is
Chastity
louder?
Nick.
Cage.
Yeah.
Miss
Yeah.
Chastity
That's
Cage.
engaged. Nick.
They go by they them, right? Or is it
No, he him.
I think
him?
it's him.
Okay. Anyway,
Jeff.
um,
Yeah.
it just that screams in my ear because love is louder. But then we look at the people that are like, oh, I'm for this, I'm for that, da 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 da. I love this, I love your culture. But yet in
Okay.
the
Yeah.
same breath,
But the
I just don't
real
fucking know.
the fear is that I do believe, and I don't know which bill it is, and I have to look it up, but I do believe that there is a bill where it has been passed in the United States, and I don't know, and I hate to have the United States be the freaking
Well,
global thermometer, but I
right?
do believe that businesses have the right to either refrain or reject serving uh, the 2S LGBTQIA plus community.
I feel like
What?
Like
that's
they can,
probably in Florida
Yeah.
or Georgia. I mean, I don't know, but I feel like one of those states
Well,
too.
Florida has the don't say gay bill, right? So you can't say
Oh, yeah.
GAY.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it
I
sounds like
have
it's
to
Florida.
actually ask. I have to go in. There's a TikToker. He was in the United States and he does gay news, and he talks about a lot of the like the bills and the laws and different things that are going to be passed. Now, I wish I had like I think he's back because it got like TikTok came back and risen from the dead. Oh my gosh! But I think he came. I think I'm going to ask him what bill that is because I want to see it because if it's true, You know what I mean? Like it's so easy to do it. Like it's just the wave of a pen.
Well,
Oh my.
did you see the bill in Florida or Texas they have? If someone who is not using the bathroom they are signed at birth that matches the sex signed at birth, they can put a $10,000 bounty on that person's head.
I don't know about a bounty, but I would definitely. I don't think. I don't know if it
No,
would
I'll
be
bring it.
that.
I'll send it to you. I'll look it up and send it to
Okay.
you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, and the biggest
Because.
thing, my biggest warning to Americans right now overall is really, unless you are a white male, you are in
Mm-hmm.
jeopardy in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind. Yes, there's different degrees, and yes, they're going to use different arms or different mechanisms to essentially try and do things to suppress anyone but white males. But the challenges and issues are going to be different depending on kind of what group you're looking at. But it's essentially all the same, and it's a real thing right now, whether state level or now federal, starting
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow. So absolutely, guys, think of our American friends. Reach out, take care of them. Immigration is another one. The uh, forced. God, I'm losing my thought process or my words right now. Forced migration. Sorry, deportation.
You
Uh,
mean denaturalization?
Yeah, well, and so that's a threat as well. Again, like I've said it before on this live, and I say it all the time. Trump is a wild card, so we'll see, how quickly that rolls out, or if it actually happens. But the rhetoric
So
has been
my
there for
my
that as well.
my next question, and I'm glad that Joe is here because I it gives me some comfort because I'm hoping that he might have an idea in the ballpark where this answer might be.
Yeah.
Do you think he might rewrite the Constitution and there's no more the two-term law?
Are you talking about in the? So he won't be able to do it on his own. He's going to need to get the House and the Senate because they're the ones that passed it a while back to be able to limit it to 2 terms.
Because I think it
So
was it Roosevelt who did that? I'm trying
so
to
I think
remember.
it was after Roosevelt because I think
Or
Roosevelt
was it
was three
Eisenhower?
terms.
Yeah, it was 3 terms.
Yeah, no person shall be elected for more than more twice, and that was. I'm trying to see when that was. Yeah, it is the 22nd Amendment. So it is the two-term limit is the 22nd Amendment. So if it's an amendment to the Constitution, he can't do it on his own. It's their changes for the Constitution will not only require the House and the Senate, but it's also going to require the states to ratify them. And that
Okay.
becomes a real challenge
And it
because
was
I
Roosevelt who
believe it's
did that.
2/3. Yeah, Roosevelt did it and he got that 3 terms, I think, because of the war.
Hmm.
And they found that to be too long, and so they decided to no, we're going to make it 2 terms.
I'm gonna pick Joe's
Mm.
brain for a minute as well, Bionic, because I like having Joe up here and I feel smart when I know shit. So here we go. That's
I
what
just
I'm
pretend
going
to be
with. I
smart. I
said
just have a
what
lot of screens to help me. That's all.
I said what I
Go ahead.
fucking said. Okay, so I was talking with an American and we were arguing,
Hmm.
and I said, well, someone had popped up and said on a live and had said something about they have to amend the Constitution every so often. Is that true, or and who put if so, who put that in place?
Well, they don't have to amend it. They do amend it, but they don't have to amend it. They could just leave the Constitution as is with no changes whatsoever, and that would be fine. But they do
Okay.
end up amending it. But was it John? I think it was John Oliver I was watching one time when he's talking about the amendments and just the complexity gets some of these amendments through. There's some amendments that are, I think, like, just like equality for women, I think is still in the works. Like, even though all the laws and everything else are right now
Yeah.
working on that idea, there's still some states that haven't, and they haven't gotten that number in there. It's such a long,
It's
crazy
Yeah.
process.
yeah,
Well,
it's
and
been
it's
in the
because so many. Sorry, Just
No, go
quickly,
ahead.
it's because so many politicians are under the opinion that you cannot change the Constitution. The Constitution is the end all be all when, like, and I've had this conversation quite a bit where I'm like, okay, but if that was the
And
end
what's
all
the
be all, they
amendments?
wouldn't have given the ability to amend it, which we have seen over time and in history, right? So,
Yeah,
um, yeah,
yeah,
just sentiment to changing it is really low uh, uh, in the beginning of it, right? So,
I mean, they set
Oh,
up their rules and whatnot on how to administer their system, and obviously their rules were based on sort of how they were functioning 200 years ago. You know,
right,
so when you first conceive your nation, it's just a handful of people in 13 states. Yeah, we're going to get the states to agree to it. It shouldn't be much of a
right,
problem. Back then, yeah, no big deal because it was 13 states. They can get that stuff kind of done quickly. You're now over 50. You're now 50 states. Um, and there's just so many people and everything's involved. We're faster because we have technology and everything else there, but it's again, there's like I said, there is
right.
decades old amendments still be worked on. So
And
for
the thing
him to
is,
be able to quickly take it out, I don't think so.
yeah, no, and that's the thing. I keep telling this. These Americans keep coming in these. Well, when they were able to join lives and stuff like that. It was what was it? Something about, oh, Canada's gonna be owned by the United States, and I'm like, you do realize you're talking about a country who didn't seem to think that it was a big deal that they went and did some stupid, messed up shit in the war in a war conflict zone to y'all fuckers. So at this point, the Geneva Convention is not only just a thing that was put in place because of Canada. Canada just looks at it like, oh, it's a suggestion book, like a suggestion box. That's kind of like what it is at this point, because FAFO.
yeah,
Mhm. So he would require 38 states, three-fourths of the states, to agree to an amendment
yeah,
in a
okay.
short amount of time.
So it's definitely a slog to try and pull it off. Then.
So my thing that I can see as a way he can maneuver this, trying to do it via the an amendment, that's going to be long and process. He's got to go through the House. He's got the House right now. He's got the Senate. That's not a problem. But then he's going to have to find 38 states he can pass this in, and I don't think he's got 38 states that are just absolute yes sirs. The only other way I could see that he might have something, and I don't know if there's anything that could be considered, is if he tried going through the court instead, trying to find some way to get the SCOTUS to strike down that amendment. That'd
Because he
be
does have the
huge.
Supreme Court too, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He's got the
Does have the
Supreme
Supreme
Court.
Court.
He does have the Supreme
Oh
Court, the
my
Congress,
god.
and the Electoral College.
Yeah, but
yeah,
well, electoral college doesn't matter at this
The
point. But
electoral, but
SCOTUS,
it's
yeah,
oh, the Supreme Court is.
but SCOTUS
Why do
hasn't
I
given
feel
them.
like I'm just like
Yeah, but
I'm
SCOTUS
even ripped
hasn't
off my
always given them
glasses?
wins. Yeah, but SCOTUS has not always given him wins.
no,
So
it's true. They've kind of knocked the air or wind out of his sails a couple times, I think, especially on his
No.
criminal
yeah,
cases. So absolutely.
Yeah,
Guys, I
but
am going to move on again. Oh,
mhm.
Smarshy, go ahead.
I'm just gonna
Uh,
give you forewarning. A bit has entered the chat. He's a very big Polyev fan, and he's very um not a nice person. Just keeping heads up, just in case he wants to come up and have a chat. It's your live. You do what you want, but I just
Okay.
Goblin
well,
has
Um,
I'm
issues.
gonna hop down because I have household stuff I gotta get done and probably scream outside because oh my.
you didn't know
I
all
that was
wouldn't be
right.
that
gonna
worried
Well,
yet.
thank you for coming up. I really
Oh no,
appreciate
thank
you
you for
joining.
having me. Schmarshy, Joe, my cuz, always a
What's
pleasure.
up, guys?
Yes,
Yeah.
cuz.
All right. You guys have a good night and keep fighting the good fight and keep getting in
Yeah,
good trouble.
We
Woo!
will.
Have a good night, Bionic. Thank you.
yeah, no. I just I'm actually gonna
Yeah,
go back to bed because like I don't feel good again, and it's like
Oh,
negative something degrees out,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
we got that polar vortex hitting now. I don't think we're as bad here in northern Ontario as like Manitoba's getting, but we're definitely feeling the effects
if
of it.
if I get another text message on Discord from an American saying it's fucking cold at 40 degrees, I'm gonna snap.
Yeah. 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, I think
well, it's the
it's
same thing.
Manitoba is looking at like
Yeah,
minus 40
essentially.
Celsius. Yeah.
Yeah, minus 40 Celsius would have understandably minus 4 minus Fahrenheit
Yep,
4
that's right across.
Fahrenheit, but that's right
Yeah.
across. But 40 degrees
Absolutely.
Fahrenheit, I could go for 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Not gonna lie.
All right. So I do want to move on to cut two more things before I go. Um, The first, guys, there was stuff from the AFN, if you remember, a little while ago. Um, they came together to try to figure out child welfare, and it fell through. And right now, it's divided. So many at this point don't know which direction to go or what the path forward is when it comes to dealing with Indigenous child welfare and sorry, dealing with probably isn't the right way to put it, but hammering out and negotiating with the federal government on this stuff is what I mean. Um, so it's split quite a bit right now. Ontario um, is receiving a bit of backlash when it comes to the AFN, like the Ontario aspect of it, because they've been trying to negotiate on their own on a provincial level. So some are criticizing that, saying like, we should all be doing it together. And I mean, I would agree with that sentiment just because, I mean, we see how dealing with the federal government when it comes to Indigenous issues separately works. I mean, it's right back to the treaties, and I mean, every treaty's different. Not everyone's essentially on paper through the treaties equal across the board, right? So that's where I find an issue when it comes to trying to do that stuff separately. I definitely think, and I don't speak for Indigenous at all. I'm just I'm somewhat on the outside looking in and taking
And
in the
quick
information
pause
that's
there.
given to me.
It's kind of annoying that the two indigenous voices that we would have enjoyed to listen to just drop before we
Well,
started
and that
this.
that was kind of like, oh no, I was hoping. If anyone would like to come up and add to this conversation, by all means, send a request to come up. I would love to hear more info on that one if you got it. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, so right now it's kind of, and again, because of what's going on with the federal government right now, any attempt to do any negotiations, even in that sense, like nothing can be done. Um, so it's unfortunate. Hopefully, once government gets back to enrolling and see, like I'm predicting an election shortly after we get back on March 24th, guys.
popular
But
rumors about May.
yeah, but that being said, really, like there doesn't have to be. And that's the big thing we need to remember, right? I'm predicting one just because it's really been kind of the set decorum when it comes to how things have been done throughout Canada's history, and even in Britain, right? You get a new leader for the governing party, and you call an election. But it doesn't have to necessarily go down that way. So really keep that in mind. But yeah, my prediction we'll see an election, and unfortunately, as it stands, you're probably going to see the conservatives get it, whether it's a majority or a minority. I think is the question at this point. Who will be the official opposition um, moving forward after that? So, really, negotiating the child welfare aspect will depend on kind of who they're negotiating with. Um, so, yeah, another wrench in the gear, so to speak, in that sense. Um, but
I really
on
like your statement in regards to it should leave the provincial because if anything, you know, this is a nation to nation negotiation regards the indigenous nations versus the nation of Canada, like, and that should be on a federal level.
Mhm.
Pushing it down to the provinces, that's just, I don't know, it feels almost disrespectful.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's what I mean, especially when we have or the AFN is there to do things together as all the different nations come together and figure it out for everyone, and
Mhm.
that's how I look at it. I agree with you 100%. Um, but guys, I'm going to end it on a feel good story. Not political whatsoever, but I think it's important to highlight. So, for all you hockey fans out there that would like to see or like to hear it in different indigenous languages, APTN National News is your source for your Hockey Night in Canada, guys. They have, I believe, 6 more games scheduled on their schedule. I don't have it up in front of me. But they are starting to broadcast Hockey Night in Canada. Um, and one of the key points is this season will be the first time you will see games broadcasted in Inuktitut. Sorry if I butchered how you say that. Um, for the first time. They've done it, I believe, in Cree. I believe there's been one or a couple in Ojibwe. So they are really pushing to have this, and I think it's fantastic. It's a way to keep the languages going, keep that part of Indigenous heritage alive, and I think it's fantastic. So definitely a feel good story and in a step in the right direction. I'd love to see more of this. Um, yeah, what do you think? What do you think there, Joe?
I think it's an absolutely fantastic idea. I mean, I remember this is kind of a reverse of. I remember a couple of years back, hockey games were starting to be offered in Punjabi, in around the Toronto area, as through
Hmm.
second audio programming.
Hmm.
And second audio programming allows you to have sorts of multitudes of different audio tracks, so that you can actually have a game being broadcast in English, second audio track could be in French, another
Yeah.
second audio track because it's multiple can be in Punjabi, and then you could start also adding additional languages. And if APTN can provide as many additional languages for, and obviously they don't need to do it for all the games because again, like not everybody wants to watch these particular games, but you do it for the ones that are focused on for those nations. I think it's an absolutely fantastic way. And what I meant by the reverse, as opposed to the Punjabi brought people into the hockey community,
Yeah.
this could be as exactly as you said, the reverse in the sense of if many of the indigenous people that are listening to it already were watching hockey, but now they're able to not only just watch it, but they can also watch it in their languages. They can help listen to it more. They can also
Mm.
get more people in communities who've lost the language to start practicing it again and listening to it again and listening to it in use, and it can start help
Absolutely.
grow that. So
Mhm.
I think it's a fantastic idea, and
Absolutely.
maybe
And I
get some
mean,
new speakers.
absolutely. And I mean, you couple it with kind of the push we've seen more on provincial levels, but there really has been a push across the country to start doing more in terms of preserving different indigenous languages and getting it out
Yeah.
there so people can learn it, whether it's because it's a part of their heritage or just being able to learn more. Because I think language is a huge thing when it comes to heritage, and it's coupled with how life was lived, whether it was 100 years ago, 200, 300. Um, so I think it's fantastic, and I think it's a way to push forward, and hopefully we can see more in terms of um, really how big of a footprint the indigenous community has had on hockey over the years too. I mean, whether it be players, whether it be the culture itself, how they've adapted different things over the years to kind of just bridge gaps and bring people together in that sense. Um, yeah, I definitely hope there's more of a push for this for sure. Maybe we'll start seeing Hockey Night Canada like we do on, was it Prime Hockey now, I think? Every week
Understand?
Prime has hockey now, so hopefully we'll see something like that moving forward. And yeah. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it for me tonight. I normally end up going way too long and doing like 2.5 hours, which has been too much. So I'm going to keep it a bit shorter and probably call her a night soon. Joe, I want to thank you for coming up. I really appreciate
Not a
it.
problem. Thank you. Yeah, it's always nice to come up. I mean, and it's especially now there's a lot of craziness going on, and I'm sure as you guys were discussing earlier on the TikTok ban and you know orange
Mhm.
guy coming into power, we're gonna be seeing the ramp up with the liberals. Like this is a crazy time right now. This month and next month alone, it's going to be insane. Going up to let's be honest here, it's going to be going insane for the next 4 years.
Yeah,
Prove
no,
me wrong.
it's going to be a roller coaster. Absolutely. Joe, where can people find you?
So they can find me a little bit here. I sometimes pop up on quite a few of the lives.
Mhm.
Past little while, I've also been doing a podcast for the past 2 Fridays, and hopefully I'm going to be doing for a few more on a place called Blueprints for Disruption. They're a podcast that's they're on Twitter as well as on, I believe they have a bit of a presence here, more on YouTube, and they do a lot of stories, progressive stories around some of the Toronto area, Ontario, and the federal area. If you're progressive, go check them out. They're a fantastic source. They've had all sorts of breaking stuff, including talking to some of the reporters, journalists from the Breach and the Red Maple in regards to some interesting stuff that broke out in the past couple of months. So do take a look for Blueprints of Disruption, as well as did other Wednesday podcasts, as some of you guys know me from. We've had it put on pause until my co-host will be able to be free from jail, to which we'll be having a large discussion as to what occurred while she's been incarcerated now. And at the time for her coming up, will be over 300 days in jail. So, and it's all because of Israel.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Trust me, when we get to it, and we get to discuss the whole thing, it'll be interesting, long conversation.
for lack of better words, it'll be a
Mhm.
bombshell.
Oh yes, understand.
There you go.
Understand.
Well, I appreciate everyone that came up tonight. I know
Mhm.
you guys are still kicking around, so thank you very much for coming up. Thank you for everyone
Not a
commenting,
problem.
putting in your opinion and extra information when we needed it. Really appreciate it. Guys, I'm the Progressive Moose. I'm always here every Sunday. Come join me again next week, and hopefully we'll have better conversations, more conversations, and we'll figure some more shit out to move forward.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
There you go. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Joe, again, thank you so much.
No problem.
There you go. See you sometime soon. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone, and have a good week. I'll see you at the end of this one.